Hey everyone, and welcome to my first Plan With Me video. I'm really excited about this because I feel like I spend a lot of time reviewing planners, talking about them, unboxing them, which hopefully I'm done unboxing planners for the year. I just changed my mind like mid-spring and I got a new planner, which I know I kind of still can't believe I did. Someone left me a comment on my last video that I liked so much because it's so true. Planner peace is so elusive, and yes, it is. You're always finding for what's gonna work best for you to bring peace and organization to your life. So anyway, that being said, I spend a lot of time reviewing and unboxing and looking at planners, but I don't always share as much as I could about what's inside my planner. So today I want to show you how I set monthly goals for myself. Now, before we jump in and I tell you my goals for the month, I want to give you a few tips. Now, these tips may or may not work for you. These are things that I have found that have worked for me. So again, I don't, read a ton of, goal setting books or how to make smart goals or anything specific like that, but I have found that these 3 things work really well for me. Tip number 1, and this is the main tip and it kind of goes into the other tips, is that you make the rules. So for example, let's say it's the beginning of the month and the 1st is on a Wednesday, and I'm okay, I kind of like to start fresh on a Monday, but Monday isn't the 1st, Wednesday's the 1st. I'm well, you need to start on the 1st because it's a monthly goal. Okay, who made that rule? I make the rules. So you know what? If I want to track and it's the 30th on Monday and then the 31st on Tuesday and then the 1st on Wednesday, I can make whatever rule I want. And sometimes I think it's hard not to get caught up in what things should look like on paper or your calendar or things like that, but you make the rules. So if you want to make goals weeks at a time, if you want to do a New Year's resolution, if you want to do a monthly goal, you just do what works for you. Tip number 2, you do not have to have a million categories. I always thought at the beginning of the month I should have a family goal, a fitness goal, a wellness goal, a financial goal, a volunteer goal, a donation goal, a giving goal, a million different things, I can't even think of all the goals that I thought I should have. A reading goal, a writing goal, a journaling goal, a cleaning goal, a house goal. And I'm I don't need to do that. So here's why. Let's say one of my goals is in wellness, to take a vitamin. Okay. I surprisingly remember to take my vitamin every day. I could write it down. I could put it in a tracker. I have put it in a tracker before, but ultimately I'm going to remember to do that. So there might be things that you're you know what? I like that I remember it and I get to check it off. And if that works for you, that's like I said, you make the rules. But if you're you know what? I don't need to make that a goal because I know I already do it. Or for me, my husband and I do our finances together. And so it's not even a goal. It's more of we have rules that we've set up with each other about savings and spending, and we're trying to buy a house and all of that. So that's, again, not even necessarily a goal. It's just these are the rules we have in place. So you can decide how you want to categorize your goal, but don't think you need to pick a million things or one from each category. Think about what you actually want to accomplish and then make your goals from that. And my last tip is that you need to give yourself wiggle room. So I am not actually a big fan of streaks oh, I worked out every single day for the month of June, or I had a no spend day every single day for the whole month except for 2 days, because sometimes I feel streaks can actually be a little bit, I don't know if the word is unmotivating or demotivating, but regardless, or irregardless as some people say, which I hear is a word now. But anyway, I'm on a tangent. Regardless, I think that streaks can kind of be bad because then when they're over, you're I don't know if I want to do that again. Or if you break them, then sometimes you lose your motivation to continue on. Whereas if you say, I'm going to remember to do XYZ thing, whatever it is, 20 days of the month, well, that's 2/3 of the month. That's pretty good. And then it's not I have to do it perfectly every single day, because if you do that, then sometimes, you're on day 6 and you forget something, or you break your streak and you're what the heck, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And so then it can be detrimental. Whereas if you give yourself a little wiggle room, a little bit of grace to not be perfect, then you kind of have, in my opinion, or at least this is definitely how things are with me, a higher chance for success. So I recommend giving yourself some wiggle room in there and not expecting 100% perfection, because that can be not only difficult, but you can't do that month after month. So those are a few tips for you. They may work for you, they may not. You may know already, like, you know what, I know that's not gonna work for me, or I like to set my goals this way. You have to do what's best for you, and that's how you have a higher chance of being successful. At least that's what I found for me. These things have worked. So I was even back and forth at the beginning of the year about setting New Year's resolutions, and ultimately I decided not to. I decided that I would set monthly goals, and then after things would happen or come to fruition, I would just make a list in my planner of accomplishments, happinesses, joys, whatever happened during the year, so that I can reflect on them at the end of the year and be happy and proud of what's happened. But I have the flexibility to change things each month, because you could set a goal for yourself at the beginning of the year, and then May rolls around, you could have a huge life change, and maybe that goal doesn't apply to you anymore. And then you're like, well, why did I hold myself to a New Year's resolution that I wrote 5 months ago that no longer applies to me? So again, this is just how I do it, but it's worked really well for me. So here are my goals for the month. This month I set 8 goals for myself. The first 3 goals are about physical health and wellness. So I used to have jobs in the past where I was a teacher and I performed at dinner theaters and in different places, and I would walk and move around so much. And now I am working from home and I don't go a lot of places. So that's definitely taken a toll on my body a lot. Like, I sometimes feel like stiffness and pain in my neck, and like I just feel really sluggish. And so I noticed that when I started exercising a little bit more and walking a little bit more and just being a little bit more mindful about how I was taking care of myself, I was feeling a lot better. So my first 3 goals for the month are: goal number 1, I want to walk between 8,000 and 10,000 steps a day. Now, I got this little tracker. I really want an Apple Watch, but as I mentioned, my husband and I are trying to buy a house, and houses are just very expensive. So that is not in the budget right now. But this actually, it's not fancy. It was like 30 bucks on Amazon, but it does exactly what I need it to do. And it just really counts my steps. And I like that. And actually you charge it and it lasts like for like 14 or 15 days. So it's really good, and it just forces me to be like, I could sit here, or I could just like go for like a 5-minute walk and, you know, get 700 or 800 steps. So that has been really good for me, just in terms of how I feel. Another thing that I want to do, my second goal, is to exercise for 80 to 100 minutes per week. So I said 8,000 to 10,000 steps, that like 8 number is where I started, and then 80 to 100 minutes of exercise per week. So that could be just like gentle stretching, it could be yoga. I've been really enjoying some bar videos. Last year at the start of quarantine, Peloton was doing this like 90 days free, and I was like, I'm always gonna sign up for something if it's like a long time like that. If they're like, subscribe and get 1 week free, I'm like, by the time I use it, I'm gonna forget, and I'm like, they're gonna charge my card, and I'm gonna be annoyed and I have to call customer service, and you know what I'm talking about. But I actually really like Peloton, and this is the longest I've ever held on to like what I would consider a gym membership, because it's like $12.99 a month, and they have videos that are 5 minutes, and I can always force myself to be like, look, it's just 5 minutes. Just do, you know, a core strength video or a legs or whatever. And then I wind up like, okay, I'll just do one more. And then, you know, I've exercised for 15 minutes and I took walks during the day. And like, look, I'm not setting exercise goals here to like, I don't know, like compete in like a fitness competition or anything, but I'm doing things that are sustainable for me long-term and are gonna work for me. And by the way, like if you're competing in a fitness competition, good for you, but I'm just thinking about what's gonna work for me. And those are the things that are gonna be best for me. And the last thing in terms of overall physical wellness is that I wanna keep a food journal. So I keep a food journal because, like I said, I'm home all day and it's really tempting to just like go in the pantry and eat fruit snacks all day long. And we have, I was almost said Halloween candy, Easter candy, and so there's like chocolate and jelly beans and more jelly beans, and I just like, you can mindlessly eat all day, especially when you're home. And I don't have like a calorie rule or any restrictions, or I can't have this, or I can't eat before this hour or after this time. Like there's none of that. It's just me keeping a food journal. I use MyFitnessPal because it's easy and I always have my phone on me, just to remind myself, like, if you want to eat this, great, you know, but you have to just write it down and keep track of it, or else I will just like eat a whole box of animal crackers. So those are my 3 goals for my physical well-being. My fourth goal is to finish a podcast that I started. It's the Nice White Parents podcast, a new 5-part series about building a better school system. And it's from the New York Times. And actually one of my friends who I taught with let me know that she thought I would really like it. And it's been really good so far. So I've listened to a couple of the episodes and I want to finish it just because sometimes I start something and then, I get a little distracted or I'll start something else. So I definitely want to finish this. The first 2 episodes were really good. And I just want to make sure that I'm making time for it. Sometimes I feel like I get a little distracted and will just wind up like sitting around and scrolling social media or listen to music in the car, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I want to make sure that I finish this. So that's definitely on my list for the month. Goal number 5 is that I want to read a book. And I know that sounds like a lot of people read all the time. I feel like I know people who are constantly reading, listening to podcasts and, listening to audiobooks and just like really into that. And I want to be one of those people because I find that when I have a book and I'm reading, I tend to be on social media less, which is like so much better for my mental health. I don't know about you, but just like not the mindless scrolling of like, what have I even been looking at over the last hour. But the issue with reading sometimes is that I have a hard time picking out books. So anyway, I downloaded the library app a few months ago and that's been really nice. So I am hoping to read a book this month. I'm going to read a book this month. Not hoping, I'm going to. It's a goal. If you've read anything good lately, leave your suggestions in the comments because I haven't decided what book I want to read. So I'm really open to pretty much anything except anything that's like kind of, anything like gruesome. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes like murder mysteries can be like a little bit much. So anyway, leave your suggestions below and that's goal number 5. Goal number 6 is that I'm going to do a mini house project every single day. That could be something as simple as dusting. It could be something like setting up my tiered tray from, I haven't decorated it since the holidays, so maybe just putting a couple little pieces of greenery on there so it looks nice. It could be something as simple as, this is so embarrassing, especially for the people who are like, Rebecca, you must be so organized and your life is always together. I need to take my Christmas wreath down. Yeah, I just admitted that, that's fine. But I want to do one small house project every day. So as I mentioned a few times already in this video, we're house hunting right now and it's just like a lot. It's quite the process. If you have been through that or you are doing it, you know that it can be completely overwhelming sometimes. And it's made me stop and think like, you know what? I could live in my house for a few more months or a few more years, I don't know. But for the time that I'm here, I want to like really appreciate it. I want to like stop and be like, this is my space. I want to enjoy it. I want to dust. I want to declutter, even if it's just one shelf at a time. I want to do one mini house project each day for the whole month. So I'm really excited. No matter how small, I'm excited to just see a couple little changes. Goal number 7 is to continue working on a free certificate course that I've been taking. So it actually finishes the first week of May and I've taken a few of these free certificate programs before. So last year when things got really bad with COVID, a few of the Florida universities started offering these courses just because, I guess that the hospitality and tourism industries have been hit so hard, theme park workers, cruises, hotels, beaches, restaurants, everything in Florida had been mostly shut down. And so they offered some courses about post-crisis hospitality management and things like that. So this certificate is the 3rd one that I'm doing and it's been really good so far. Lots of good speakers and I've been enjoying it. It's about diversity and inclusion, which I think is really important and relevant no matter what industry you work in. So one of my goals for this month is to finish up with that. And my last goal, goal number 8, is that I want to spend some time this month researching different volunteer opportunities. So it's something I've wanted to do for a while and it's been like, well, it's COVID and you can't go anywhere or you have a baby or you're pregnant or something like that. And so those are all valid reasons to not want to leave your house. But I feel like I could be using my time to help other people and I really want to. I think virtual volunteering is what I'm most interested in. So if you volunteer or if you do anything virtually, I would love to hear about that in the comments below so maybe I could come up with some ideas for myself. But I just think that that would be a good way to use my time and a good goal to set for myself. So there you have it, my 8 goals for the month and my 3 tips at the beginning for setting goals for yourself. I would love to hear if you agree with those tips or not too. Sometimes you have your own method and your own ways, and other times you're like, I should really try that. And when I started hearing other people talking about, like not holding yourself to this, like you have to be perfect and you have to achieve 100%, I think my life and my outlook changed so much because it's like, yeah, I can accomplish a lot with 90%. 90% is okay. 80% is okay. So let me know how that is for you, your goal setting, and if you've set any goals this month. So thanks for following along. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.